Hello, hello, hello. I know it's been a little bit. I have moved houses and states, kind of like back to my, I guess, old neighborhood, I guess you could say, where I grew up. So that's really nice. It's been overall pretty good. I'm pretty much settled now, so I guess we'll see a lot more content from me again. I know it was like a good month or so that there was nothing from me. But then I started playing New World. The main reason I started playing New World and doing a new character is just because I really enjoy it, but also at the same time I ended up getting an infection, like in the middle of like doing it, and I was mostly just waiting for the next update for Star Wars and making sure that Estable wasn't laggy. And I remember I wanted to get into it earlier, but NVIDIA's update had like some severe issues, so I just didn't do the NVIDIA update, and I was just like, I'll just wait until then because I know every single time that NVIDIA doesn't update, my recording settings get like completely messed up. So I was like, I'm not going to bother. And the past couple of days I've gotten on and I've enjoyed it. It's been all right. I wouldn't say it's amazing. Most of these games are not terrible. I've been mostly playing Gunslinger because the other changes don't really entertain me, I guess, in any sort of way. The new power tech tactical only increases its sustained damage. Which, I mean, obviously, that's great if you have a healer or if you have healers on your team or a tank on your team, where you can actually stay alive and make use of it. Otherwise, a more bursty or more like instant burst, like tactical, like power detonator or overwhelming offense would just be better. I really like that taunt stun is gone though. And Gunslinger was one of them that got changed, or sniper too. To have heal on cover. And that's the 10,407 heal that I constantly get. And it's part of the reason why I don't die in this match, or the previous video that I put out, I didn't die in that match either. And it's mostly just because of this passive heal. This passive heal is actually nothing to scoff at. It's actually quite a bit of HPS, and if you're able to basically maintain proper use of it the entire game and never be full health, you're looking anywhere from like, I think it's like 6,000 to 7,000 to 8,000 HPS alone, which is crazy, but you're never going to get 100% use, right? And that's where Second Wind comes in, and when Second Wind heals you, that's the other big heal that I'm getting. It really goes together really well. So anytime that you're in a bad situation, if you get a kill, especially if you're playing Virulence, it's very easy to get your health back up. Especially in an AVA DPS match where there's no healers, it's a lot easier to consistently get that kill. So then you get a whole bunch of healing, which is pretty awesome. It's also really fun to play because you have to play kind of aggressively, but also be wary of like your surroundings. Like you can't afford to get jumped, because if you do get jumped, you're just going to die. So this entire time, I'm just trying to dump everything I can into whoever I find, but also at the same time try to be aware of my surroundings so I don't get collapsed on. And you can kind of see that right here when I'm running up the ramp and there's two people underneath me. I know that I can't do anything there, so I just need to get out of there. Without help, I'm not winning that. So I just try to constantly reposition so it's possible for me to get into a situation where there's a lot of people hitting me all at the same time. But overall, I would say passive healing is really good, and Second Wind definitely makes it even better. Obviously, since you're trying to get that optimal performance out of the percent heal, 6, 7, 8k HPS, not that much really. Sometimes it's more than your actual dedicated healer, and that sucks. That sucks in its own thing. That's a completely different thing. I don't really want to bring that up or talk about that right now, but that's just going to happen, So in a way, it can be better. This obviously puts it at like even, what I say, like lethality kind of healing levels, but you also got to remember that vengeance are also at this same like level of healing too. Do I think it's like busted? Not really, because it doesn't really have any great defensives. The healing is more of like a finesse kind of thing. Like you have to know what you're doing to actually make use of all the healing, especially to get chain healing. Because in most situations, or let's say more competitive situation, you're actually not banking on this. You're not getting much value outside of the cover heal. The second win is only going to happen if people are actually consistently dying. If it's a more competitive match, people aren't dying as much, so therefore you're not getting as much out of it. And the percent healing is more so better when you can kind of prevent yourself from taking damage, so you can heal back up, and or run into a situation where you're not taking much damage in general. You can actually end up out healing it. And also, outside of Virulence, I guess, or Dirty Fighting, I played some MM, but I haven't played the MM since 64 update, I think, or 64-bit. I've been wanting to, and the reason why is just because I love suppressive fire. There's no other reason. And penetrating rounds, there's very, very nice animations. I like the sounds, I like the way it looks. Kind of reminds me of Coal. So I'll definitely get around to trying that probably if I am bored enough. But I'm really only playing Virulence because I like the changes, and I'm just trying to check it out, see how it is, how it feels. Classes that can passively heal themselves are something that I naturally usually really enjoy to play as more of a challenge of just playing and not dying, because there's a lot of stuff that you can actually do on most of these classes to prevent your death, just because the passive healing is enough to save you. So for example, last expansion, when I played Carnage a whole bunch, there was a lot of times that I would have pretty much no healing, and I would still stay alive just because of the percent heal. I was spamming Massacre so much, or other rage spending abilities, which I found to be a lot of fun. That little bit of HPS actually was making a difference in most of those games where keep me alive. And when you get into those level of games, of course, obviously you're not taking crazy amount of damage unless super, super competitive match, but you can make it competitive for yourself by, trying to keep yourself up with very, very little heals, which is a lot of fun. And part of why I'm probably having fun with this, obviously these are all DPS games, so it's a little bit different than, having a healer. It's obviously I can do a lot more damage if there's a healer in both teams. So I can just dot spread and suppressive fire and stuff like that. And I'm trying to think, has there been anything else that's really changed in the SWTORs? But I feel like not really, outside of the broadsword thing, which I did read about. I'm not really going to judge, obviously. I'm hoping that the cloud servers are still coming. If cloud servers are coming, then hopefully things are a lot easier to work on, and hopefully broadsword can actually, maintain the game. If not only maintain the game, obviously update the game. I don't think they're just going to say forget it and not mess with the game, because it would be very easy for them to, at the very least, maintain PvP, do balance changes and stuff like that. They could easily do stuff for PvP, and it would be not really low effort, but it would be very easy for them to do in terms of content. They wouldn't have to make a new raid. We've already got the content, basically. You would just change the way how certain things play and or how certain maps might be played. And bam, you've got tons and tons and tons of infinitely looping content. So I'm definitely not too worried about that. I mean, even if the worst is to happen, it's still a fun game. And, as long as people are playing, that is the only issue. As long as people are playing, you can have fun in PvP. But if nobody's playing, then I guess you can't really do anything. I don't see that happening. I don't see them just throwing away Star Wars, even if it is making less money than what it used to. I don't see it as a game that's just going to disappear. And I hope for the best for it, for sure. I'm sure a lot of people also do too. I know for the rest of this video, there's not much going on. But one thing to think about, if you want to play Virulence, the TLDR for the rotation, how you do the rotation, I've noticed that I've had a little bit of lag, but It might have just been brain lag too, to be honest. I don't know what my ability cube was. But you can do both dots into hemorrhaging blast, which is your toxic blast or whatever. So basically, dot explosion. Into coal, into snipe, into quick draw, into snipe. I don't really remember all the buttons, but basically that's the quick crash course for your rotation. And obviously you can fit in sleeping gunfire instead of snipe, and you almost never use a series of shots. And that's pretty much it. Anyway, I'll see you guys in another video.